Meanwhile, the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal has acted against its lower South Coast region, including stripping the branch of some of its powers. The party earlier this week said that the province will now be taking over the lower South Coast Regional Executive Committee's duties to oversee its local government. For more on this and other issues in the province, we're now joined by the provincial ANC spokesperson, Ndumiseni Ntuli, from our Durban studios. Thank you very much for joining us this evening and welcome to the program.
Thank you very much and good evening to you and the viewers at home.
All right, so explain to the viewers why you felt it important or necessary to take powers, regional executive powers from the South Coast region.
Well, firstly, let me say that it is unfortunate that when we take a decision that affects the lower South Coast region, the matter becomes an issue of headlines. This is actually the third region in our province which we have decided to take away powers from. And the powers we've taken away are those powers as delegated to regional executive committees by the Provincial Executive Committee of the ANC. Among others, the powers include the supervision of branches in relation to their processes towards the regional conference. The second one has to do with the supervision of the municipality and the deployed cadres who are working in various municipalities in those particular regions. It has nothing to do, by the way, with an important responsibility of the Regional Executive Committee to lead programs and campaigns and ensure that the ANC sustain the dynamic contact with the masses of our people in those respective regions.
Are they incapable of doing those executive functions themselves?
We went to the local government elections having been inundated with a lot of complaints and grievances relating to how members of the regional executive committees were handling processes of branch annual general meetings and branch general meetings for the selection of candidates. Some of these issues could not be attended adequately and thoroughly because we were consumed by a very intense and involved election campaign. We then made a commitment that after the elections, we're going to come back and respond to all of these matters. We set up a task team. It conducted an investigation. At some point, it was complemented by the task team of the National Executive Committee. We arrived at three important decisions. The first one was that we are taking away powers from the Herigwara region, which we've done 3-4 months ago. The second one was that we're taking powers to the Far North region, which we also did on the eve of the Provincial General Council. It's only now that we've taken powers from the Lower South Coast, and that is what I'm saying. Unfortunately, for some strange reasons, the Lower South Coast is being elevated to be something other than what it is, which is one of the ANC regions in KwaZulu-Natal.
Do you acknowledge that there's a lot of factional battles that are playing out in this region in particular?
We acknowledge that the developments that were reported to us leading to local government elections were a manifestation of an internal tension and problems that are engulfing the structures of the ANC in that area. That is why we have then said we shouldn't allow a situation where we do not act upon these problems, because if we do not, we will have to be equally guilty if the processes leading to the regional conferences are contaminated by tensions and violence among members of the ANC without us having acted when we were alerted that there were challenges. Then we would be part of those who must be guilty for having done nothing when you were exposed to the reality that there were problems that required the leadership of the higher structure to attend to and to solve.
But isn't this exacerbating the problem itself? Because they're saying that they've been singled out because they were supported Senzo Mchunu, they belong to the wrong faction, and that this branch is being punished for not supporting the current leadership in the local government elections.
You see, the answer to that question lies on the fact that the first region that was taken powers away from is the Herigwara region. And the question should therefore be posed: who was supported by the Herigwara region in their majority? If the answer is consistent with the perception of the Lower South Coast region, or whoever in the Lower South Coast that seems to be advancing that flawed argument, then the argument might gain some credibility. In the current setup, that argument is informed and arises only on the basis of perceptions. We have a report on the table which was a product of the work that was done extensively over a period of not less than 2 months. We have a report that indicates how many times the Provincial Executive Committee has engaged with the REC and said to them, these are the things that we need to fix and we must attend to them urgently. How many times the working committee went there? Several times. And if you decide to believe perceptions as opposed to a scientific product of the Provincial Executive Committee, then you can't blame the ANC for having taken decisions, because our decisions are not inspired by perceptions. They are informed and driven by the understanding that a scientific work has been done and it necessitates a particular action.
All right, so you're obviously refuting allegations that this is also to do with the elective conference at the end of the year, and that this branch is behind Cyril Ramaphosa.
We are not aware that Lower South Coast is behind Comrade Deputy President to become the next president of the ANC. Whether we were aware or not aware, that would have been immaterial in terms of how we make decisions on the strength of the information and facts at our disposal. That issue that is being punted into the public now, we've heard about it, and all we said to ourselves was that it has no material effect to the quality and the nature of the decisions would have arrived at, even had we been made aware of it long before we took the decision.
All right. Does the branch have the opportunity to appeal the decision to have its regional executive powers withdrawn?
You see, in terms of the ANC constitution, in terms of the ANC constitution, any lower structure has the right to appeal to the higher structure if it feels that it has been disenfranchised by the structure above them. But this is normally a process that is undertaken within the context of the structure being dissolved or disbanded. Now, the constitution of the ANC is very clear about the fact that powers of the REC are as delegated by the Provincial Executive Committee. We are here to hear anybody in the movement, in the province or in the National Executive Committee, who will say that we are not entitled as the Provincial Executive Committee to withdraw the powers we've delegated to the Regional Executive Committee anywhere in the province, if we deemed it fit and appropriate and in the best interest of the organization. So if they decide to appeal, that is well and good. They can do that. We have nothing to hide. We have acted in the best interest of the ANC. We have a report, and we can explain this to the national leadership of the African National Congress.
All right. The other issue in your province, of course, is the charge sheet that's been handed to Dr. Makosi Khoza. Are you able to tell us what's on that charge sheet?
I wouldn't be able to divulge the content of the charge sheet, because as a Provincial Executive Committee, we only make a decision in principle and say this comrade must be taken before the disciplinary committee because he or she has brought the organization into disrepute. Now, the clauses in the constitution of the ANC, which reflect and explain the manifestation of bringing the party into disrepute, is a matter that is then dealt with at a technical level by the Provincial Disciplinary Committee and then submitted to Comrade Makosi Khoza. And in our own practice and tradition, we do not then send out to the public the charges even before a comrade who has been charged has been allowed to appear before the Disciplinary Committee. We have seen in the public now something being circulated. I can give you an assurance that it did not emanate from the ANC provincial office.
All right, so a question that the public are raising and wanting to get some clarity on, perhaps without going into specifics, maybe you can say that the charges are different, but some people are saying if you charge Dr. Makosi Khoza, then you must also charge Mcebisi Jonas, Pravin Gordhan, Sipho Pichana and Solima Paila, because they too have spoken out against the party president in public.
You see, that notion, that sentiment is either uninformed or is a deliberate distortion of the understanding of what we've presented to the public. We have argued that when we emerged from the National Policy Conference, there was an absolute consensus in the movement that moving forward, nobody must be allowed to act with impunity in undermining the African National Congress and its leadership. We took a responsibility as the Provincial Executive Committee that decision of the national gathering of our movement is also our own decision. And therefore, anybody from our own province who, like Comrade Makos, is a member of parliament, who came through the list that is called Province to National, which belongs to KwaZulu-Natal. She has a membership in our province. Therefore, we have a full jurisdiction over her discipline, and we have a right to deal with the problems or act of ill discipline that are as a result of her own act of omission or commission. Comrade Pravin Gordhan is a member of the National Executive Committee. It is the National Executive Committee that has a responsibility as the supreme board of the movement in between conferences to ensure that its leadership and the cause of itself exercising leadership inspires the confidence to the masses of our people that what we have decided in the National Policy Conference will be acted upon, and that all of us will be intolerant to anybody who deviate from commonly agreed positions of the movement.
That may be so, but for as long as the others are not charged, then there appears to be this inconsistency that Dr. Makos had said that, you know, the ANC acts, but not always equally to people across the movement. And so it will be a challenge if nothing happens to these other people, but you continue to pursue Dr. Makos.
Well, I also hope that whoever believes in the sentiment we have just expressed will not then find fault in us in acting against wrongdoing, because I don't think anybody must justify that those who are theft and stealing must not be attended to because we have not been able to catch all of them. I think each person who is found to have deviated from the procedures of the ANC must be attended to. If there are others who are not being attended to because the structures that have got responsibility over them have not done so, it should not mean, therefore, that everybody must be allowed to run amok and we become almost nothing while we're an organization that has a responsibility to protect its own integrity and inspire confidence to the masses of our people.
Now, your provincial chairman has also said that the Gupta family must leave us alone to be able to run this country, which suggests that there are very serious accusations in the Gupta leaked emails you believe to be true. And if that is the case, there's some ANC people in there that are implicated. What's going to happen to them? Are they also going to be charged?
I'm glad that the key word on your question, there are people who are implicated. So what is of profound significance is that a mechanism must be put in place to convert implications and allegations to the statement of facts so that those who are involved can face the consequences. The provincial chairperson of KwaZulu-Natal has been very clear because the decision of the PEC is very clear and unambiguous. It says that the conduct and the behavior of the Guptas, like any other bourgeoisie, parasitic bourgeoisie, is at variance with the value system of the movement and the National Democratic Revolution.
All right,
but if anybody is found to be done what is wrong, those ones must be brought before.
But Mr. Ntuli, by your own admission, on the one hand you say the Guptas are guilty of something. That's why you're saying, please leave us alone. If they've done nothing wrong, then you wouldn't be making that request. But they could not have done anything wrong alone if you feel that the party is being bothered. Surely one hand washes the other.
Let me answer that question in this way. I know, as a matter of fact, that at some point the Guptas landed in the national key point. I know that. I don't know who was involved in arranging that to happen. And I think, therefore, because I have a full knowledge and I'm certain about what happened, it's correct that I can denounce and condemn that behavior. But I cannot, by virtue of implication that certain comrades are alleged to be involved with the Guptas as emails were exposing all over the past week, therefore says those comrades are guilty and as charged. That is why, as the PEC, we supported very strongly the decision of the National Executive Committee to establish a commission of inquiry so that we can be able to extract facts, the truth from facts, and be certain that we are dealing with something that we all understand, not something that gets elevated through perceptions and some unclear connection that people make on the basis of the information at their disposal.
All right, so Mr. Ntuli, we're going to have to leave it there, but thank you very much indeed for clearing up some of those issues for our viewers. I'm sure they'll be making up their minds even as we speak. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, so that was Ndumiseni Ntuli, who's the ANC spokesperson in KwaZulu-Natal, speaking to us on the line.